Do you like mysteries? I've got a mystery for you. It's the mystery of the crash. So we had a crash in the Anacrusis. Now, you might think for video game developers that's pretty common, but for me and games I work on, it's not, because it's my approach that you can never have crashes. You can have bugs. Bugs are jank. That's fine. But you can't have crashes because crashes stop you from being able to play the game and test the game. And it did the other day. You can look on my stream. We had 2 crashes, couldn't figure out what was going on. We stopped, we huddled up. But like any good mystery, it's got a lot of false ends to it. So, right, you're playing the game and you get a crash out of nowhere. And you get one of these pop up, one of these, or worse, depending. You're playing a game and all of a sudden the web page behind you pops up and this is on it. What do you do? Well, if you're most people, you don't do anything. But what you should really do if you want to be a buddy is you click send, because that gives us a bunch of information. I'm going to go over what information it gives us and how we look at that. But for now, just know that that gives us a lot of information. And that is super helpful to us. And the thing is, and I know this, is even if you are friends of us, even if you are people who play our games all the time and you're in a play test, you're most likely not going to hit send. People just don't. And that results in us getting less data. Now, when we had, tens of thousands of people playing the game, if we saw any trend, we could see any trends happening here. But again, even then, we had very low. But let's say I've worked on other games where we do all of a sudden have crashes, often when drivers change. And if we see a bunch of these, we can see trends going on. For our game now, we have few enough players that we can actually look and see exact problems going on. So now, why doesn't this happen that frequently in the public? Well, first of all, we got to go back. Let's wind back here a little bit. So this is a picture of our depot. And this is what we call source control, right? So we use Perforce. And we have mainline, which is just super, super noisy. This is us working in every day. Even here, we don't want crashes, but this has got a bunch of stuff. And then staging is, hey, we're going to go share this with people publicly. This doesn't have debug code, and it just has, this could ship in theory. So now every project I've ever worked on at this point, staging is sacred. Staging is your church. This is the thing that could be publicly facing. We don't want anything in here. I respect our customers. I respect our players. We need to make sure that we are super tight on it. So now as we're coming down to the end of a project like we are now for the community update, I am pretty religious about no more changes. We're done. This wasn't on the list. No. Is 1 million people going to play it? Well, okay, maybe. Is one person going to like this part of the update? Then no. And I get really strict about this and I treat it that way. And often, even on this, I try to be hands off on this because I want the community to do everything and me do nothing, which just so that we can say it's 100% community made. But here, it's just still hey, no, only things that are absolutely required at this point, because we are locked down. Everything is done. We are just fixing bugs. We are only fixing bugs. But we want to be able to make a better trailer. So we are going to make some changes that allow for you to go free roam if you go AFK, so that we can use that camera. Can we just do that in daily playtest? But okay, we're going to do that. We're going to put that in. And then we'll also put in some changes that he refactored or reparented some of the specials he made. Because there's new specials in our game now in the community update. And it's just like cleaning up the code. Cleaning up the code is never allowed in my book. Ever. You can do that in daily playtest when it's messy, but don't bring that into staging until we're ready. And this is why, I'll be honest, while sometimes you'll get a bug and somebody will be like, oh, that should be easy to fix. And you're like, oh man, that's built on a bunch of stuff we never fixed. That's going to take a way longer to fix. And that is how cruft gets in the system, but it also prevents what's going to happen. I'm giving away the ending already. Or am I? Because, so what happens when you hit send? Well, it notifies us, right? And we get a bunch of these. Here's 4 of these. I said there's 4. Really, there's 2 on these, because some of these are months old. Because again, our game doesn't crash. I think that's a really important pact you make with players, is that your game doesn't crash. So here we go. And we're going to go look at the last 2. These are the 2 new issues. And these are both, one's Khan and one's myself. Now, what we get with this is we get the actual line of code that crashed. So we have an assertion failed. can format being displayed, this candidate format. Now this is this C code. Even if you're doing stuff in Blueprint, C++ code, excuse me for you persnickety people. But even if you're using stuff in Blueprints translates this all to C++. And so this is what we're looking at, and it's a bug here. And this is saying that where it is. So cool. But that doesn't really tell us, like, that crashed, but why? What was going on? Well, so we get another thing called breadcrumbs. This is what I like to look at because it's often insightful, and we see a bunch of stuff in here. But I see, if we look down here at the bottom, set view target. That's the changes. This is some of the changes that happen with the free roam camera. Why do we do the free roam camera? We don't need it. Oh, I am yelling con to the stars at this point, right? We should take it out. Talking to him back and forth. I try to be a reasonable person on this. And again, I appreciate all the work Con has done. And there's an amazing amount of stuff. If you want to hire a Unreal dev that does some really cool gameplay stuff, check him out. Happy to make the introductions. But in this case, I'm like looking at this going, I've jumped to conclusions. I think I know what's going on. So now we need to fix this. So now you can just roll back everything because, again, we have source control. So we can just roll this back and say no, or we can go look and see what's going on and try to figure it out and then update it, fix it. And so Con's going to take some time and fix it. Now, here's one of the problems is we have a small community. We're playtesting the game. And so we have to be cognizant of that time. And anytime we ask people to playtest, that, again, I appreciate those playtests so much. I don't think I ever say that enough. How much I appreciate people's time to be playtesting this for this big update so we can get it out, more people can play it. And so we are going to build again and put it to staging, and staging then shares external playtests. In case you guys don't know, this is what a Steam backend looks like. So this is all of our depots. This is where we can push games, right? And if you look here, so like the public default branch is absolutely sacred. Nothing gets into there. AMD wanted to test something. We did a daily playtest is our noisy one. And like, right, there's just a bunch of different ones we have here. Sometimes we need to carve off a build like the press playtest and have it set aside because we can't have this one change in case IGN doesn't want to play it and still review our game. Okay, but enough of that. But so we are at this point of, and we're actually looking at like at this, where you can see that we have the external playtest and staging are both the same because that's what happens, right? We do the external, we move staging to external playtest so that we can playtest it and make sure it's all good. But we're having crashes in the external playtest, and so you can see daily playtest. That's Con testing and looking for the bug. So it ends up the cleaning up of the code for the flasher, because the flasher wasn't working correctly, was the problem. Not the third-person camera. But now, you can only do it because Con would go through it, test it, look at it, build it, roll stuff back. Like, if I roll back the third-person camera stuff and I'm still getting crashes, okay, that's not it. So we can put that back in, maybe. Right? But you have to be this detective where you remove stuff, you put stuff back in, you remove stuff, you put stuff back in. Because unless you know what it is, unless you can trace it down and be like, oh yeah, this is obvious. And so this was a timer when he reparented the special flasher that had gone bad and was causing this bug. It's fixed. We have a new daily playtest. We're going to build that daily playtest out, and then we will build out the staging branch. We use a thing called Team City that does all the building. I've talked about that before. And we'll build that out on Team City and then push that to staging. Most likely Con and I or somebody else will jump on and test that, and then we'll push it to external playtest, and hopefully we'll have a playtest this evening. And that's how that happens. And that's why it takes so long to fix a bug, even when it's obvious. Because it's obvious it's in the third-person camera. Why the hell did he do that? That's why you try not to jump to conclusions, why you don't get angry, why you just try to be like, okay, we all know, and we talked about this, like about pushing stuff, and we've talked about how we're going to be careful about that and not redo code and stuff, and that's cool. That's fine. It's part of the process. This is what happens making games. But that's why our update's a little late. If you haven't been playing the Anacrusis, when you look for the external playtest tonight, called and we be testing in here, is the password. You will see a bunch of really cool stuff, and I think our game is now turned to a game about versus, and you can actually play versus against yourself, and it is really cool. And you should check it out.